A demonstrator holds a sign that reads Green New Deal now at a United Auto Workers (UAW) candlelight vigil for General Motors Co. Workers at assembly plants targeted to close at Hart Plaza in Detroit, Michigan, U.S., on Friday, Jan. 18, 2019. General Motors Co.'s decision to close 5 North American factories by the end of 2019 puts more than 6,700 salaried and hourly jobs at risk, unless GM and its unions find some new products for them to build. Photographer Anthony Lanzilote, Bloomberg. Copyright 2019 Bloomberg Finance LP. Opponents of the Green New Deal are trying to create a caricature of it to mock it in an effort to conceal their real desires, which is the protection of their own financial and political interests. Case in point, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, who is wedded to not just dirty politics but dirty energies. At its core, the Green New Deal aims to dramatically cut greenhouse gas emissions tied to global warming over the next decade, the time frame in which climate scientists have warned of a point of no return. It would achieve its goal by relying on sustainable energies that would require public investments. By changing gears, the country would be moving away from fossil fuels and notably coal, which is at the heart of the Kentucky economy. McConnell fashions himself a brilliant political strategist when in fact, in Bob Dylan's words, he is just the sluggish senator, blocking up the hall. The majority leader thus says in a wry way that he'll be happy to bring the matter to the Senate floor, before there would be hearings, committee votes and markups, the standard way proposals would become law. In other words, McConnell is trying to minimize it by making a spectacle of it. Right now, the Green New Deal is an ideal, not a specific piece of legislation for anyone to pass serious judgment. But if McConnell were truly interested in his state's long-term future, not just his re-election bid in 2020, he'd convey to his constituents that coal is getting its ass kicked by alternative energies and that coal seams are getting harder to mine. Embracing a cleaner economy is therefore an investment in the future, and the future generations of coal miners and their kids. A yokel, though, can't stall progress, even in his own state. Consider that just this past week, the Tennessee Valley Authority bucked the advice of Donald Trump and Senator McConnell by voting to close down a Kentucky-based coal plant. Instead, the federal utility will replace that with natural gas and renewables. The two politicians are politically inspired. But the utility is economically driven. Meantime, PPL Corp., which has about 8,000 megawatts of power generation in Kentucky, said that coal would comprise just 10% of its electricity portfolio by mid-century. It is switching to natural gas and renewables, which it expects to make up 80% of its total mix by that same point. Republicans don't want to debate climate change, they only want to deny it, said Senator Edward Markey, D-Mass, co-author of the Green proposal. The principles of the Green New Deal resonate with the American people, a mission to save all of creation by investing in massive job creation. Senator Ed Markey, a Democrat from Massachusetts, hugs Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a Democrat from New York, during a news conference announcing Green New Deal legislation in Washington, D.C., U.S., on Thursday, Feb. 7, 2019. A sweeping package of climate change measures unveiled Thursday by Ocasio-Cortez drew a tepid response from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who didn't explicitly throw her support behind the measure. Photographer Al Drago, Bloomberg. Copyright 2019 Bloomberg Finance LP. The left lane. No doubt, Trump is a relic of a bygone era, whose own unflattering caricature dwarfs that of any politician to ever come on the scene. McConnell's image is different from that of Trump, a blob who won't get out of the way of progress. But if climate change is to be defeated, it will require Obama's new energy economy to move into the left lane, literally and figuratively. And a key beneficiary of those investments could be coal country. In countless conversations with former Republican New Jersey Governor and EPA Chief Christine Whitman, not about the Green New Deal, she has said that the best way to catapult coal country into the 21st century is through investment in sustainable energies. That could include anything from energy storage tools to carbon-free fuels, which would not just help the United States mitigate the adverse effects of climate change but also help revitalize areas that have lost hope. The fossil fuels will remain vital and omnipresent for decades. But the Green New Deal's naysayers will continue to ridicule the proposal before it gets a congressional hearing. Already, Trump is making fun of provisions that are not even in any bill, much less any final legislation, on top of the fact that he thinks that climate change is a hoax. A full-fledged debate, though, will go a long way toward enlightening the masses about what is at stake. There's room for optimism. Kentucky's neighbor to the east is West Virginia, where 60% of the state's citizens believe that climate change is real and that humans have a key role in it. As such, West Virginians and Kentuckians are patriotic and now see green as the new red, white and blue, understanding that dirty air endangers the purities that they cherish. As a result, Senator Joe Manchin, DW.V., who agrees with the prevailing climate science but who also understands that coal still supplies 29% of the nation's electricity, thumped his Trump-backed opponent in the U.S. Senate race there last November. The times, in fact, are changing. In this October 16, 2014 photo, unemployed coal miner Jeremy Adams, 26, right, sits with his 15-month-old son, Christopher, and wife Tiffany Cox, 26, as they wait for a school bus to drop off Cox's two daughters from school in Lynch, Kentucky. It's depressing. Nobody can find a job around here, says Adams, who was laid off from his mining job 3 years ago. AP photo, David Goldman, Associated Press. Glaring reality: most coal-reliant states get it. Georgia, Colorado and Wyoming, for example, are preparing for a carbon-constrained world. In West Virginia, American Electric Power and First Energy Corp. are retiring coal plants. Ditto for Southern Co. in Georgia and Duke Energy in the Carolinas. The decisions are mostly economic. These power companies can now buy natural gas and renewables more cheaply than they can buy coal, with the added bonus of declining CO2 releases. President Obama's policies took the nation out of recession and into prosperity by, in part, investing in modern green technologies. The country has therefore been shedding coal, which had helped shape the country during the industrial age but which is becoming less relevant in the digital age. The glaring reality is that if temperature rises are to be kept at 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit, CO2 emissions must be net zero by 2055. But the National Climate Assessment says that if Trump's policies go unchecked, it would lead to temperature increases of 7 degrees Fahrenheit from pre-industrial levels. Enter the Green New Deal, which would add fuel to the new energy economy and which would hopefully inspire a wave of progressive investments in America's hardest-hit regions like Appalachia. Its goal is to avoid an environmental disaster while at the same time, spread economic hope. Mocking that message is synonymous with undermining future generations. Majority Leader McConnell is undoubtedly concerned about the fate of his state's coal sector. But he should not forsake Kentucky's future to protect an uncompetitive fuel, much less that of the United States. The country thus needs a generation of leaders who are selfless and forward-thinking. Plenty of conservatives fit that mold. Progressives do as well, including all of those running for the 2020 Democratic nomination. The Green New Deal is a chance to have a solid debate. It is not the time for the self-interested to score political points. There's too much to lose.